So, Noshahr Canals is back in Battlefield 4, and we've been asking for this for a long time. I remember back when Battlefield 4 was first coming out and we had the Second Assault DLC upon us, we were all hoping and praying that somehow we would get a Noshahr Canals, and the weird thing is, now that we've got it, there's just a lot of things wrong with it. Now, I'm going to be very critical in this video, talking about a lot of the things that I've noticed that are wrong with the map and what makes it not the same as it used to be. And the reason why is because I want the map to be good. I want the map to be what it was, and I want people to look back at Battlefield 4's Dragon Valley TDM and almost say it was better than the original Noshahr Canals. And it can be with the proper changes, and at this point in time, it is very iffy. To me, it is not near as good as the Battlefield 3 variant. While I do believe that in general, this map does play out a lot better than any of the other Battlefield 4 TDM maps, I do not believe that it is near as good as the original Noshahr Canals from Battlefield 3. But I feel like with some changes, proper changes here and there, we can get to a point where we have a Noshahr Canals that is really effective and works well in Battlefield 4 and still gives you that same feeling that you got while playing on Noshahr Canals in Battlefield 3. Now, one thing that I noticed right off the bat is that the spawns at the beginning of the match are very iffy. And Battlefield 3, if I do recall right, they were either randomized or they were just in a better location, because at this point in time you spawn on either the left or the right side of the field depending on what team you are on. The Chinese spawn near the canal and the US soldiers spawn on the exact opposite side of the map from that. And if the US soldiers take literally one step south, then they can look to the canals and shoot RPGs and magnum shots and anything to hit the opponent. And I'll try and pull up a little clip of me getting just one shot off with the magnum. I didn't want to take advantage of it and just be a dick about it, but I did want to showcase that it is there, that you can hit them, so I did try and get a hit marker with the magnum as easily as I could. And it literally just takes one step, and then you shoot off to the side where they spawn, and you can hit them through the fence. The Chinese don't have that advantage. They have to jump up something, break through a fence, and all that before they can even get eyesight to where the enemy team is. And to me, that's very broken. And one thing they either need to do is change the spawns to what they were in Battlefield 3, where it was like one team started off on the train tracks, one team started off underneath the crane, or just randomize it. Either way, it would be better than what we have right now, because to me, that seems very broken. If you can literally take one step south and you can start shooting at the enemy team before they even know what's going on. So that's definitely something that needs to be fixed. At first, when I was playing on it, I had a lot of trouble getting used to it just because I wasn't used to the gunplay mechanics within Battlefield 4, because I honestly don't play the game very much. I've played Hardline a decent amount, I've played Battlefield 3 a decent amount, but Battlefield 4 I actually have not played that much on PC, and especially not recently. And so when I did jump on Noshahr Canals, I was thinking that the gun mechanics would be a lot like Battlefield 3, and honestly, I was completely wrong with it, because Battlefield 4's gun mechanics are drastically different, which makes the map play out very differently. However, I started using the PKP Petcheneg, which is something that I generally don't use in Battlefield 4, but it is my most used weapon in Battlefield 3, and I dominate with that weapon on Noshahr Canal. So I figured, hey, maybe I can use this weapon, see how similar it is to BF3, and kind of get a feel for what the differences actually are. And I actually started doing a lot better just because I was used to the weapon, and the PKP has not changed that much, surprisingly, from its BF3 counterpart, and I was able to do decently well, and I also noticed a lot more things that were wrong with the map. One of which being, of course, the scale. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about that by now. The scale of the map is just overall a little bit bigger, and one sad reality of that is that it makes parkouring across the top crates a lot more difficult. Because things are slightly spread out, some of them are completely inaccessible by jumping like you used to be able to, and others are on a very rare occasion able to be done. And I was only able to get one good like parkour jumping across, running across the top to happen like one single time, and when it happened I was like, oh my god, I finally did it, because it's just so damn difficult with the way things are spread out. If I had to guess, I would say the map is probably at like 125% scaling of what its original counterpart was. And in some places, things are a lot closer than they were. In other places, they are a lot more spread out. And I think the reason is because this map was designed by DICE LA, they maybe didn't have the original map from Battlefield 3, and they figured that they could recreate it and make it suit Battlefield 4's mechanics a lot better by going with their gut with it. And in a lot of cases, I think they made some good decisions with some movements of crates inside the middle, but in other instances, not so much. I think some of the things in the middle should have been left the way they were, because in all honesty, whenever we did ask for a Noshahr Canals map, we didn't ask for a new and improved version. We literally just wanted Noshahr Canals on the Frostbite 3 engine in Battlefield 4. So they could have literally given us a reskinned version of the original map that was exactly the same, just on the new graphics engine, and we would have been happy with it. And the changes that they made are very questionable. At this point, I have yet to see any of them legitimately make a difference in a good way. The only difference I have noticed, however, is that a lot of the focus on the map no longer takes place in the middle, which is what made the map so famous. It almost was like the center area where all the crates were was an objective that everybody wanted to dominate, and the team that was dominating the inner part was winning the match because everybody from the outside where they spawned would try and go in. And so if you can visualize this, let's say you have a square, and in the middle is the crates. This is the map. Basically, on the original version, everybody would be pointing in, so you would have all the arrows on the minimap going inwards, and then you would have the people on the inside fighting each other. With the new map, what they've effectively done by spreading everything out is made it so that people go towards the spawns of people, which effectively makes people face from the inside towards the outer edges because they want to kill people as they spawn, because it's a lot faster than waiting for them to come to the middle, because there's so much more ground to cover to get there. And you could argue, hey, when it gets to 64 player, maybe this map is a lot better, but to me, personally, after putting countless hours into Noshahr Canals on both Xbox 360 and on PC, I can honestly say that the map works a lot better with anywhere from 32 to maybe on a good occasion 48 players. But with 64 players, it is quite the clusterfuck, and it's honestly not that enjoyable in my opinion. Now, I feel like because this map is spread out, maybe it is a lot better working with 64 players than the original version, but I really feel like 32 players was that nice little middle ground that made the map work well, and playing 32 players on the new version is a completely different feeling, because you aren't anymore trying to go towards the middle, you are now trying to control the outer edges and killing people as they spawn. And it's just not that enjoyable. It's not as fast paced, you have to fight other people for kills, and there's no longer that sense of the middle is what we want to dominate, let's go ahead and dominate it. Now, there are a lot of changes that need to be made, but in my opinion, if they put everything back to its position and scale of the original map and just tried it out, because it is in CTE, which means they can update it however they want, maybe just test the waters. Put it back the way it was, see how the Battlefield 4 mechanics work in it, and then go from there, instead of trying to make a map that you think could work, giving it to us and realizing that it doesn't. So if you take the original one, see how the mechanics of the new game work within it, and then adjust accordingly, I think it'll be a lot better off than the approach that they're trying to take right now. Now, I give massive props to DICE LA for all that they have done, but at this point in time, I do think that this Noshahr Canals modification does need a massive overhaul. Now, if you guys don't know the origin of how this came to be, I'll go ahead and explain that real quick. Dragon Valley was added to the CTE a couple months ago, which is basically a very iconic map from Battlefield 2, and it had a great conquest mode, but back then there was no TDM, there was no rush, and Noshahr Canals did not have a very good conquest or rush game mode, to be honest. It was okay, but it wasn't among the best, and so what they've effectively done is combined an old conquest map from Battlefield 2 that was really good, and combined that with a really good team deathmatch map from Noshahr Canals, and put them together by adding a small port on the outskirts of Dragon Valley's conquest map and using that area as the TDM map. Overall, I think that was very intuitive, and I think it would be great if they scaled things down and got it the way it needed to be, and it could be really awesome. Also, the color palette does need to change. Everybody has been saying it, and honestly, it is very true. it feels like I'm not in a really cool port like I was in Noshahr Canals, but rather now I'm in a run-down, muggy, just not a very good-looking map. And before, with all the massive different colors that were on all the crates, Noshahr Canals was one of the most colorful maps in Battlefield 3, and I think that was another appeal to it. So if they could change the color palette, maybe even just take the one from the original Noshahr Canals, I don't even care. I just want to see the map the way that it should be. And I hope that they can try and take some of the things that I've said somehow. Maybe somebody else will say it that's more important than me, I don't know, but I really think that these could be effective changes to kind of adjust to it. If they would start from the original version and then make adjustments accordingly, I think they would get a much better result out of the map than the way that they are doing it right now. And one last little thing, this isn't something that makes a massive difference, but it is something I thought I should say. I am very sad that it's no longer the US versus the Russians. I understand that it's the Chinese, but man, because it is their map, but man, I miss the US versus the Russians on Noshahr. Anyways, that has been all for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys have, then please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to hear your opinions in the comment section down below. But as always, this has been Lupus. And remember, stay gold.